Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. On behalf of the board, I would like to acknowledge the land we are meeting on today is the traditional territory of many First Nations, including the Chippewas of the Georgian Island and the Mississaugas of the Credit. These lands are now home to many diverse Indigenous peoples. We acknowledge that York Region falls under Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaties with several Mississauga and Chippewas First Nations. Disclosure of interest. Any disclosure of interest to declare? I see and I hear none. Confirmation of public minutes of March 23rd. I'll be moving in a second. Chair Emerson, would you like to move that for me, please? Appreciate that. And Norma, thank you so much, Ms. McCall. Any opposition? Motion carries. Presentations, there are none. Deputations, there are none. We have communication 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, and 7.4. May I have a motion to receive the correspondence? Jennifer, thank you. Ms. Fang. Steve Renat, thank you so much. Can we? I guess we can accept all four if that's okay. Is that okay with you? All four? Okay.
Maurizio?
Yes.
Can I just please ask Chief Jim to just give us a quick update of what is the latest public health measures now? I see some of the correspondence from the province giving us directions. So my understanding is pretty much being removed, but if Jim can give a quick overview on that, we appreciate it.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Chief.
Thank you, Ms. Fang. I'm assuming you mean within the workplace here. If that's what, is that what you're referring to? Public health measures inside?
Workplace inside and also in our interaction with the public, please.
Yeah, so we're following all public health guidelines inside the organization. I can tell you we still are ensuring that we have passive processes in place, that meaning that where social distancing can remain, we are keeping that in place. There's no requirement for folks for it to be mandatory to wear a mask in the workplace. However, those who choose to do so can do so. Outside of the organization, officers are using their discretion as to when and if they choose to wear effective PPE, interactions with people that are known to be COVID positive, interactions with people they suspect to have been in contact with people that are positive, those sorts of things. But we're following pretty much in line with public health right now on that.
Is our customer service center open now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, all our facilities are open.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So listen, we'll just do it one by one. 7.1, Jennifer, you're moving that. Ms. Fang, thank you. And Norma, would you like to second that?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Oh, that's good. Thank you so much. Any opposition? Motion carries. 7.2, Mayor Pellegrini, would you like to move that for me? Thank you so much. And Chair Emerson, would you like to second that? Thank you. Any opposition? Motion carries. 7.3, Mr. Percher, would you like to move that for me? Thank you so much. And who have we got? Steve Renat, seconder. Any opposition? Motion carries. 7.4, Ms. Fang and Mayor Pellegrini. Any opposition? Motion carries. Now we go to consideration and adoption of reports. I'm going to be pulling 8.3, 8.4, and 8.5. So as you know, the reports go from 8.1 to 8.7. So I'm pulling 3. If there are other reports that our board members would like to pull, please let me know so we can pull them. Okay, there are none. So I need a motion to approve the remaining. Ms. Fang, you're moving that?
Oh, I'll just make a quick comment on 8.7. Otherwise, I'm okay for the.
Okay, make your comment on 8.7. Ms. Fang?
Oh, sorry, I thought we are pulling it out now and then we go
Oh,
one by
Yeah,
one.
that's exactly what we're going to be doing. And so I need a motion to approve the remaining consent items. Mayor Pellegrini, would you like to move that? Mr. Purcher, would you like to second that? Okay. Any opposition? Motion carries. Okay, now we'll proceed to 8.3, board commendation.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and through you and to the board. This is a board, the recommendation for the board to approve a commendation for Mr. Eugene Lee and Skymark for their life-saving actions, which assisted us greatly with an elderly resident here in York Region. So I'll give you a little bit of background on it and then answer any questions anyone has. So on Monday, March 14th, we received an assist ambulance call to attend green space area located in Markham. And two citizens, Mr. Eugene Lee and Skymark, were walking in the park and found an elderly female lying in a swamp covered in mud. The elderly female was awake and breathing, but unable to move. And I can tell you, these gentlemen, once they heard about the fact that someone was missing, were actively looking for her. But concerned for her safety after finding her, they both called 911 for assistance, waited at the entrance of the park to assist in directing officers to the female's location. The officers arrived to find she had visible injuries to her eye, hands, and left ear. Appears she had fallen, and if she were not discovered, in all likelihood may have perished. In all likelihood, would have perished. So their actions in assisting YRP in this serious matter likely saved her life, and therefore, from our perspective, believe that this is quite appropriate for a board commendation to both Mr. Eugene Lee and Skymark. And subject to any questions the board members have, I or Superintendent Al Almeida can answer any other specifics.
Sure. Thank you for that, Chief. Any comments, questions? If not, I'll need a motion for the recommendation that the board approve the report and award Eugene Lee and Skymark a board commendation for their life-saving actions. Who would like to move that? Ms. Fang, thank you. Mr. Mayor Pellegrini. Any opposition? Motion carries. Now we move to 8.4, report on hate crime policy.
Yes, Chair, through you. I'm going to, this is an annual report. Obviously, the board has sees these reports on a yearly basis. I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Hammond to provide a brief overview, followed by any questions you might have, and we can take it from there. So Deputy Hammond, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and good morning again, members of the board. Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm going to highlight some of the portions of this report for everybody. Firstly, I have to say that there has been an increase in hate incidents throughout 2021, not only in York Region, but throughout Canada. A number of those reasons related to that, certainly the COVID-19 pandemic, the conflict between Palestine and Israel, resurgence of Holocaust denial, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, the inquiry into the residential school system. All of these global events we feel are a direct correlation to the increase in hate incidents. From January 2021 to the current reporting period, our hate crime prevention unit reported an increase in hate crime occurrences against the Southeast Asian, Black, Jewish, and Muslim communities compared to 2021 statistics. You'll find contained in the report, there's two tables. The first table is hate crime by the principal motivation factor. So it's broken down by a number of areas: race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, language, disability, gender, age, and some other factors. As indicated previously, the greatest increase is related to race, specifically the Southeast Asian community, as well as the Black community. The second table provides hate crime by most serious violations. So you'll see that we had 195 hate crime incidents in comparison to 160 in 2020. The top 3 serious violations are mischief, uttering threats, and harassing communication. Our hate crime prevention unit, we have a pretty robust strategy. We have seen an increase, as I said, a steady surge in hate and bias incident reporting throughout the region. The increase in this reporting, I would say, is a direct indication that the communities in York Region are more comfortable reporting their experiences to York Regional Police as a result of the collaboration that we have had with the residents of the region. However, we do recognize that there's still an existing gap between the actual events and the rate of reporting. Further community outreach and education are the key, certainly, to dispel any misinformation and the reluctance within the community members to report such incidents to the police. I'm going to highlight a few of the strategies that our hate crime prevention unit does to help bridge that gap and engage with the community with the ultimate goal of increasing reporting and then thereby certainly reducing hate crime and hate incidents in our region. York Regional Police is renowned as the lead agency for hate crime investigations and prevention strategies. As you know, YRP is the first police agency to create the Human Rights Education Classroom for children and youth with age-appropriate lessons. The Hate Crime Prevention Unit engaged throughout 2021 with 350 newly arrived Afghan families in the region. The unit was able to provide humanitarian aid and support to these families. Also in 2021, the Hate Crime Prevention Unit successfully completed the Building Partnerships within York Region initiative. Over 200 employees from various York Region departments, including bylaw and operational staff and customer service staff, were trained on how to address hate crimes. We also have a partnership through local immigration to provide quarterly presentations to our welcome centers. We also provide presentations to the school boards through our Human Rights Education Classroom, just to name a few. Internally, the Hate Crime Prevention Unit undertook frontline training initiatives for YRP members, and this training was rolled out to all frontline members, supervisors, and criminal investigation investigators. So this training increased the efficiency of hate crime investigations and reports while emphasizing the importance of hate crime reporting and the impact of these incidents on our citizens. YRP is the only agency that has embarked on providing an annual hate crime conference. I'm sure you've heard of it before within Canada. The second conference was successfully hosted throughout the pandemic in September 2021, and plans for the third annual conference are underway. We are looking to, we have a goal to expand this at the national level. Our Hate Crime Prevention Unit continues to monitor international events while collaborating with investigators from our intelligence bureaus, internally and externally. These ongoing relationships allow for the ongoing timely transfer of intelligence, information across jurisdictions, and the forecasting of potential local incidents based on geopolitical events. To conclude, the report does highlight everything I've said. With the rise of both hate crimes and hate crime incidents, our Hate Crime Prevention Unit actively investigates occurrences and continues to engage with the community by creating partnerships to address those who are victimized by hate crime and hate incidents. Subject to any questions, those are the highlights of the report.
Thank you very much. A thorough report. Ms. Fang, do you have a question or comment?
Thank you, Marizio. Thank you, Cecile. Really great to see York Region Police is the leader in hate crime prevention and investigation, not only in our region, but across Canada. And glad to see that conference, and hopefully you'll expand it globally. Thank you for that great job. And I just have two quick clarification questions, please. One is on the statistics, the table. I assume these are victim or targets based, so statistics. So I'm wondering if there's a practice or possibility to also look at offenders statistics. So what I'm thinking that is just look at the statistics of the offenders, then potentially, I guess, from prevention strategy perspective, we could help with some cross-cultural trainings and awareness and building that kind of understanding. So that's my first clarification question, just in terms of statistics, because nowadays we really want to have evidence-based and data analytics to support our policies and decisions, right? So that's one. And then another quick clarification, I think our hate crime prevent unit have been doing a lot of great things on an ongoing basis. But as you pointed out, given the recent increase in particularly the two race group, Black and East and Southeast Asian, I'm wondering if we have any bespoke activities towards these community group in order to prevent the further increase of hate crimes. So over back to you, Cecile. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms. Fang. Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. With respect to your first question, Ms. Fang, the collection of offender statistics. So when there is a charge laid, we certainly do have the data as it relates to an offender who's been charged. Oftentimes, the statistics related to an offender who remains unknown, certainly that would just be the perception of the officer or even the individual who would perceive that. But that's not something that we typically collect with the spirit of what you're saying in terms of continued engagement with working with those offenders. That would be something it's an interesting point. It would be something that would have to be through courts where they would direct some type of training, but I don't see that happening. With respect to your second question regarding the two groups that we've highlighted, we've seen the increase, and absolutely, we have done. We support all of the communities, but where we have seen the increase, we have done specific outreach to the East, Southeast Asian and Black communities, specifically the Chinese BIA. We've actually engaged with some presentations with them, as well as Minister Mary Ng, some presentations through her, and as well through our Black community consultative roundtable. We have undertaken many discussions around hate crime and hate crime prevention and how to increase the confidence in those members to come forward and report incidents to us. So that's something that's consistently ongoing.
Okay. Any further comments or questions? Seeing no further questions, Ms. Fang, would you, and Ms. McCullough, would you like to
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
to receive the annual report for information?
Yep.
Okay. Any opposition? Motion carries. Thanks again, Cecile, for a great presentation and great work. I hear about the great work throughout the community that you and your team are doing, and for that we're very appreciative. We now move to 8.5, 2021 Use of Force Annual Report.
Thank you, Chair. Through you. Again, another annual report that's worthy of presentation here to the board. As a result, obviously this comes as a result of the board policy on use of force and our adequacy standard and our responsibility to report on use of force statistics. So we've brought Superintendent Tai Trung, who's prepared the report and can give you a high-level overview of this report and answer, any of us can answer any questions the board may have. So through you, Chair, I'll turn it over to Superintendent Trung.
Superintendent, go ahead.
Good
Thanks,
morning,
Chief.
Mr. Chair. Just going to highlight a couple important points that were identified from the annual report. And just for background, the use of force reports for the annual reports for the organization serve two purposes. One, the main purpose for us is to identify any training needs, any changes in policy or procedure, anything that we need to adjust based on interactions with our officers, with the community. Since last year, the ministry has required police services across Ontario to commence collecting race-based data, specifically to perceived race of subjects where officers are involved in use of force encounters. So the report that you have will include that specific data that we are mandated to collect. And the purpose of that is to identify and prevent any trends or any issues or concerns with respect to racial bias, if any. So some highlights of this year's report is there were over 434,000 interactions with members of the public and the police. And of those interactions, 230 resulted in incidents where force was used. So that's a very, very low rate in the region, and it works out to 0.05% of all police interactions involve mandatory use of force reporting. The majority of those force incidents involve frontline officers responding to weapons-related calls. So those calls typically involve subjects armed with an edged weapon or a firearm. 112 incidents where officers pointed their firearms in the course of their duty. 2 times they were required to discharge their weapon. And of those 2 times, it was to protect the community. So that's a very, very low rate of officer shootings for the region. Another important highlight that was identified is the effectiveness of the conducted energy weapon. So in other words, the taser. It's very clear based on our data that tool is effective for our front line. The mere presence of that tool assists officers in gaining compliance control and assists in de-escalating situations further. The reports and the highlights of the use of force incidents, what we do here at Training Branch is anytime an officer uses force, they report it to the ministry. A supervisor at their district reviews it, including their district commander. We collect all of those use of force reports. We analyze it here with our use of force committee, and we try to determine if there's any training issues that need to be addressed or any policies that need to be addressed. What we found for last year is that officers are de-escalating very well based on the report and the statistics in the report that you have. We're amongst the lowest compared to our partnering agencies with Toronto, Peel, and Durham, amongst the lowest use of force incidents in the GTA. So one of the big highlights that we've identified is that the officers are applying the most appropriate use of force option, and they are effectively communicating and de-escalating situations. So as we plan for training continuously, we rely on these statistics to help inform us to train our officers better as we continue to strive to always train better. Subject to any questions, Mr. Chair, those are the highlights.
Thank you so much for the report, and thanks for the work you do. Anybody has a question, comment? Well, I'll have a comment to express my gratitude, and it's very important work, and I think the board and the public need to know these facts, and in a very transparent, accountable way. And as I often tell the chief, we appreciate transparency and accountability here as a board, and this is yet another example of that transparency and accountability. And for that, I want to express my gratitude to you.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Fang?
Thank you, Mauricio. And I want to echo the sentiment that YRP is the lowest use of force compared to our peers, especially I think the applying this de-escalation communication techniques, that's very well done. And I would like to highlight that and thanks ECT for the excellent job. Thank you.
Well said, Ms. Fang. I need a motion to receive the annual report pursuant to the use of force board policy number 01/14. Who would like to move that? Mayor Pellegrini, would you like to do that? And Chair Emerson, would you like to second that for me? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Any opposition? Motion carries. Okay, the next item will be 9.1. Mafalda, you want to give us an update on the Anti-Black Racism and Building Community Trust Committee?
Thank you, Chair. At this time, through you, I can defer to Board Member Purchell for the update.
Sure.
Okay.
Mr. Purchell.
Thank you, Your Worship. With respect to our ongoing efforts to prepare a detailed report for the board, Ms. McCullough and I have met with other members of the subcommittee on a weekly and now bi-weekly basis, and we have worked substantively with our subject matter expert, Professor Akwazi Owusu-Bempeh, in terms of moving towards a draft that should be available on a timely basis before the end of the summer term, and substantively moving again towards a detailed report which we will submit to the committee. The committee has worked on the basis of representation from the community. The committee has had opportunity in the course of its meetings to deal again substantively with issues that are of importance in terms of the things we need to address. And we look forward to this document that is being produced as something that should be an important response, not only to the 4 officers that initiated this, but to the community as a whole. And we will keep you updated and posted on our progress, again, with an interim report at our next meeting.
Thank you so much, and thanks for all your work as well, Mr. Purchell. It's greatly appreciated. It's important work. I mean, as I speak to members of the community, they really appreciate the attention that this board and this police force is given this particular issue. It's all hands on deck. This is an issue that for us is of paramount importance. And the work that you are doing and your committee has done and the chief and his team have done is a clear demonstration of how important this issue is been taken. It's one that requires attention and you know, as I often tell members of the board and the chief, these are not issues that you solve in a day. This is an issue that you have to work at every single day. Every single day, you've got to move forward inch by inch to get to where we need to get to. And we all know that we're not where we need to be, but we're certainly heading in the right direction. And the board and the chief and his team really deserve full marks for being as active on this file as we have demonstrated to be throughout the years. And so for that, I want to express the gratitude. And I think I do reflect the opinion of members of our community who are taking note of the fact that we are present, that we are engaged, and that we are doing all that we can to bring about positive change in this policy area that finds itself in the life of people. This is not just policy, you know, as I often say, you know, this is life that plays itself out in every street, every community in York Region and beyond. And I just wanted to get on the record to thank you. Thank you for the efforts, your efforts, Mr. Purchell, and the entire committee and everybody that works in that, and also the chief and his team for taking real care of this issue. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you, Mr. Purchell, thank you very much for the detailed overview there. Very much appreciated. And I guess this is a good time for me to just add in that our subject matter expert and consultant, Dr. Shaheen Azmi, is already underway. I have mentioned his name before, but there's a lot of work going on the inside of the organization as well. To your point, Mr. Chair, and Dr. Azmi continues his work, and we expect a report later this year. So it will dovetail nicely into a draft report that we hope to receive through the board on the board's perspective with the other recommendations. And we'll continue on this work that you, as you quite eloquently stated, it's very important. It's very important for the organization, very important for the board. And so we support moving forward with this initiative, and we hope to see some positive change in the future. So with that, I will turn it back to you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for the floor.
Thanks, Chief. Mr. Purchell?
I just wanted to add that I'm particularly grateful for Ms. McCullough's efforts on this committee, as well as our executive director, Mafalda, who's been really carrying a lot of the work in the background. When we're not meeting, she certainly is. I'm also grateful to the chief and his staff for the support and the documentation that's being provided to make this as comprehensive as it can be, with a view to meeting the chairman's agenda. I concur wholly with the chairman in that this is a work in progress, but it is a work that is much overdue, needs to be addressed as comprehensively and as aggressively as we can. And I believe, again, with the chief's comments, that working together, we should be able to generate a pathway, a guideline that should substantively address the issues that so sorely need to be addressed throughout the region and, frankly, throughout the country. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Purchell. And I would also like to thank Ms. McCullough for her work. It's really appreciated. And if you don't mind, I'd like for you to receive the verbal update on the Anti-Black Racism and Building Community Trust Committee. You can do that for me. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And we will get Ms. Fang to second that. Any opposition? Motion carries. Any other business? Mr. Chief, did I miss you there, or is your hand? Oh, that was an applause. Is that what it was?
No, I was just clapping for those others, Ms. McCullough, Mafalda, and everyone else who was working on this without having to make more comments. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we picked that up. Thank you for that. Any other business? This is the time if anybody would like to raise other business. Yes, Ms. Fang, go ahead.
Marizel, I pointed out 8.7 earlier. It is the proposed performance evaluation review process for our deputy chiefs. And I just want to make one quick comment. I think this is a natural extension of the performance evaluation review process that the board has recently reviewed and implemented for our chief. And so that included the new 360 review. And I think for the next step, so this is a natural extension, I don't think we need to reinvent the full wheel for deputy chiefs. So it's more tailored this new or improved performance evaluation for deputy chiefs. So that's just a comment and a clarification for Mafalda. And as usual, she's taking the lead in working with the potential consultant who has worked with the board on the redesigning of the chief's evaluation. So the key thing is we will make this review process and engagement with the external party effectively instead of reinventing the whole wheel.
Okay, thank you so much. Just for governance issues, I'm going to get you to move that, even though we've dealt with it. Move that and also get Mayor Pellegrini, if you don't mind seconding. Thank you so much. Any opposition, motion carries. Please click note that, Mafalda. And now we're back to, I guess I need a motion to move into a private meeting. Mayor Pellegrini, thank you. Mr. Purchase, would you like to second that? Or sorry, Steve or not? Thank you for that. Any opposition, motion carries. So now we'll go to proceed to a private meeting. And Jacqueline, you let me know when I can begin, okay?